Welcome back into, I guess this is episode number 3 of the Sports Buzz podcast. It's a production of WKYT. We hope that you will go and subscribe, iTunes, or I guess they got one on Google, Audio Boom, or something like that, wherever it is, and tell your friends and neighbors about it as well. Pleased and delighted to have the king, Rex Chapman, here. He's with me each and every week on the pregame show, and it's only appropriate to have you here to talk about the postseason. Mr. Chapman, how the heck you doing?
The Sports Buzz.
Yes.
The Sports Buzz. We work together.
Yes.
And I'm just now hearing about this.
Well, it's only the third edition. I mean,
it's fantastic. It's genius.
Listen, we
the
did
Sports Buzz.
We did Sam Dick, when they did the behind the scenes thing.
Now keep it PG.
We did Ellen Calipari.
Oh, okay.
Who you said wouldn't talk to me, and you wouldn't ask her.
Well, she and I are on the outs.
You're not on the outs. We don't want people to think that. And so now you're number 3, and so we're getting ready for the SEC tournament. And I just wanted to talk to you. You and I have talked a lot about your experiences here at Kentucky. Mm-hmm. What about the postseason? What was that like for you?
Oh, man, you're not any kind of player if you don't win the MVP of the SEC tournament.
You were so not right. You played in 2, right?
Which I think, huh?
How many? You played in 2
SEC
SEC
I played in
tournaments.
2 of them. I don't even remember what happened my freshman year. We got beat by someone. No clue who. Auburn, maybe. I don't know. It was in the Omni in Atlanta, I believe. Does that sound right?
Could be.
And then we won it the next year in Baton Rouge.
Wow.
But I also think all of that has been, is it stricken from the record
Vacated?
book? Vacated.
That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right?
I don't know. Nobody's ever called me. Nobody.
You still got the trophy, right?
Still got the trophy. Still got all that stuff.
Piece of the net?
Yeah. No, we didn't do that.
You guys didn't do that?
No.
I didn't know. No. You never know.
Yeah, I wish I would have.
You never know.
It was the only time I got to do it.
Stop it. Different sort of deal with the tournament back then than it is now.
Yeah. Everything's, you got a formula for doing stuff now. I think they probably did then, but it's more elaborate. See the seeding and postseason tournament,
sure.
the NCAA.
But it meant more. You had less teams that got in then, right? I mean, you guys were in, but still, it was important for seeding.
No question about it. We were I want to say we were an 8 or 9 seed my freshman year. We shouldn't have made the tournament. We were like 16 and 14, 18 and 14, something like that. Got beat in the first. We were 8 or 9. Got beat by Ohio State, Jay Burson, and Dennis Hobson. They beat us to death. And we got first round exit. Next year we were a 2 seed, I believe. Had a really good year, really good team. Got upset in the Sweet 16 by Villanova. Still heartbreaking, heart-wrenching to think about.
Right.
Yeah. Really is. Last game. Career was over. Anyway.
But we talked the other night.
Yeah.
You really didn't think, we were talking the other night at senior day. You really didn't think that was going to be the last senior day you saw it at Rupp. And so when you got beat in that tournament, you didn't think it was going to be the last tournament game you ever played in.
Well, not only that, I played that season with 5 really good seniors. Ed Davender, Winston Bennett, Rob Locke, Richard Madison, and I'm leaving someone out, Cedric Jenkins.
Yep.
And we were basically, I played along with those guys. Eric Manuel played a little bit. Other than that, we were going to lose a bunch of guys, but I know all those guys knew that was their last game.
Right.
Took their time taking their uniforms off and emotions and all that. I just took my stuff off, got in the shower, came back out, and I remember Ralph there to talk to me. And I mean, probably within a couple weeks, it was just so. It was abrupt.
This is the way things change now. Like everybody's talking about Zion all season long.
Yeah.
And you're saying that during that season,
yes.
You had no idea.
I had no idea. Now, I had played the previous summer on the USA team.
Right.
And I'd gained a lot of experience. And also I was playing with David Robinson and Danny Manning, 2 guys. David had already been drafted number 1. Danny was going to be drafted number 1 coming up. And so I started playing, but that team was loaded with pros. I started on the team. but I never really thought about thinking back about it. I know I came in with more confidence as a sophomore. I was bigger, stronger, all
Right.
that. But not once during any of the minutes that I played at Kentucky, not once did I think about, and for sure there were every game, not once did I think about anybody from the NBA, scouts or otherwise, watching me play basketball. I assume they were all watching my teammates. You didn't come out early then.
Right.
You just didn't. And to come out 2 years early, that was a...
Did people approach your dad? I mean, because of the experience that he had in basketball.
Yeah.
I believe you wholeheartedly, but it just seems weird to me that nobody during the season said, "Listen, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but you guys got to start thinking about this possibility."
Listen, here's the thing. My dad, while I was at Kentucky, I never thought I was any good. He never let me believe I was any good.
There's no
And
question about that.
so for him to have ever brought that up to me
Right.
is something he just wouldn't have done. I'm sure there were people, thinking back, I'm sure there were people that were talking to him about, hey, he, may have a chance to go play. I think that the thing that really kind of got sideways was Eddie and I were not good at Sutton at that point. He and I probably hadn't spoken in 2 months to one another. Hadn't spoken other than on the court. And it got so bad where at the end of the very end of the season, he James and Dwayne were
James Dickey and Dwayne Casey.
were relaying Eddie's messages to me. And so it was a really strained. And listen, I love Eddie. I love Eddie. I didn't always love him then.
Right.
And the drinking, all that stuff was going on my freshman year, and I think I really held it against him in a big time way that my sophomore year. It was almost like, and looking back, he wasn't his best my freshman year.
Right.
He wasn't. He was still great. But again, I just sort of had free reign. We all had kind of free reins to do whatever. But he came back really good. But it was almost like the substitute teacher that lets you do everything on the first day of school, and trying to pull those reins in is hard. You can always get easier. You can't get tougher, or you can, but I certainly wasn't. He was more discipline oriented my sophomore year, and look, we were a better team. I have many regrets. That's one of them. But he wasn't perfect either. But we were, it was two egos and all that stuff. And I thought I believed everything everyone said about me.
Rex Chapman is here with us on the Sports Buzz podcast. Is that, and I don't know that you and I have ever talked about this, but I mean, knowing now the way you felt about what he did when you were a freshman and what he was going through, how much different is your feeling now, having gone through what you went through? Does it change your feeling?
Yeah, for sure it changes my feeling. Now, after he and I didn't talk, we didn't speak to one another the whole time I played in the NBA. Not once.
You're kidding.
Not once.
But that was not about the freshman year stuff. I've heard the story.
No. But it wasn't that we were or maybe we were. I mean, I just didn't. You get busy playing and all that, and you let a lot of stuff go, a lot of relationships that you shouldn't. You're traveling, and
you're in your own bubble.
Kids and So, but when I retired, my first year with the Suns scouting and whatnot, I made a point to go to Stillwater, and I got with Sean and with James ahead of time and said, hey, I'd like to come in and talk, sit down and all that. I'd also been to rehab by this point one time, and I'd been out for, a year or so.
Right.
And so I went, and he and I sat and talked. Now, I also, at this point, he wasn't acknowledging anything, for years. Not even until recently could we even feel comfortable mentioning his drinking.
Right.
He didn't mention that at all.
It's just the way guys handled things, and he was an example of that from that era.
Yeah. But I will give him this. But it was fine. We met and talked, and things thawed. And then over the years, I've seen him a handful of times.
Sure.
I still keep up with Sean and try to. Eddie's not doing real well.
No.
But he's He's a Hall of Fame coach. I can't believe he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's probably on his last legs. He's not in great health. He's not doing real well, but I think he turned 83.
Something like that, yeah.
You know what's crazy is that he was right. You know how old he was when he took the job here? I know this just because I know it.
What would he have been, mid-50s?
49.
49. Oh, my gosh.
2 years younger than me right now.
Wow.
Think about that. I thought he was so old then.
Right.
I really did. Of course, I thought you were old, and you were only
I
25.
I was. It was dog years. And we've never talked about this either, but was it the stuff he was going through as a freshman, or was it the other more popular story that went around about your sophomore year about how he wanted you to conduct your life that led to the...
No, it was, well, I probably had some animosity over that. I definitely had some animosity over that. I dated who I wanted to date. It didn't matter if it was a girl from down the street I'd known forever. It didn't matter if she was Christian, Jewish, whatever, black, white, athlete, not. I was a young, dumb kid.
But that doesn't make you dumb. It's just...
a young womanizing kid.
No, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, and I don't want to speak for Eddie, but I'm sure his deal was he was concerned about appearances.
It wasn't Eddie.
Okay.
It really wasn't.
It wasn't. Okay. I've always wondered about that.
No. Because
that's what the story is.
Here's the deal. Eddie, in looking back, Eddie should have said to the people coming to him making these complaints, which were some boosters, and some of the administration.
Right.
And I know these people. I sat in rooms with these people.
And they probably never said anything to you about it.
No, never. We've never spoken of it. But a half dozen times where Eddie was in there, James was usually in there, and Dwayne was usually in there.
Right.
Casey. And where they're telling me, hey, we don't care what you do. But either it got to the point where it was hide it, don't be out in public about it, or the other one was be smart, be wise. And here's the disappointing thing. Looking back, I just needed someone to be an adult for me. I was scared, young, and I wanted to please and all that, but I was tired of being told this. I'd been told it for a couple years in high school. And so I just needed Eddie or James. And look, Dwayne was in a weird spot. He's there, the third or fourth assistant at the time. And he and I were tight, and he knows. His advice was to kind of do what they said, be, But and then he said, but, Rex, you got to be you. You got to do you. And I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong. So I just needed, my whole thing with that regard was, look, somebody should have stood up for me.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're disappointed that Dwayne, as an African American.
No. I'm more disappointed in the other guys. Back in the 80s, that position was tenuous. If I couldn't talk about this stuff, how was he going to talk about it?
I see what you're saying.
And there wasn't any other black guy in the room other than Dwayne. I mean, no, absolutely not. That's my dog. And all of these guys, James too. I love these guys. They were in a weird position.
Sure.
They're being told by someone to nip this in the bud or whatever it was. And when I didn't comply, there were more meetings. And by the end of that year, those two things were kind of running together.
You guys had just come to loggerheads.
Yeah, I was just I really and truly believed and still to this day believe I was doing nothing wrong. I was a young kid, full of himself, running around, having fun. And, all of the moral judgment that was going on was a real weight that I carried around.
So if the NBA thing had not come along, might you have looked to go someplace else after that sophomore year because of that or not? Or you would have just kept dealing with it?
No. I can say this. I was going to leave. I wouldn't have left if I wasn't going to be a top pick. I just wouldn't.
I understand,
we had researched it in a couple of weeks.
No question.
And we had talked to, Jerry West and all the people that we could talk to. And so we knew that if I had, and at one point I remember somebody bringing that, because I got upset, talking to buddies and from high school, and they lived over here.
Why do they care who you date or what you
No,
do?
not about that. Talk about the basketball.
Oh.
No, not my buddies. I forgot what we were.
No. From the standpoint of you had talked to your buddies about whether or not to go. Some of the research that you guys had done in those 2 short weeks.
Yeah, I've completely lost track.
See, I did that to you, and I do that.
It's okay.
I do that to you all the time.
No, it's okay.
But if you had not been one of those top picks, you weren't going to go.
I wasn't going to go. I'd have put up with it. Oh, I know what it was. It was, well, would you transfer? I said, well, I'm not going to transfer. But if I did, I'd go to Louisville. It would have been right down the road. You wouldn't have had to sit out 2 years because it's not in the same conference. But that's for sure. If I had to have stayed in college, but I would have never done that. I'd have come back and played for Kentucky.
I mean, I was getting ready to say, I was going to say, could you imagine all this other stuff you were dealing with? What kind of storm that would have caused?
Well, that's why. I mean, I would have never, could have never. I remember telling my buddies that in a fit of anger one day, and they all looked at me like I had 3 heads.
That's unbelievable. Everything you've been through in life, good, bad, and indifferent, you have just owned.
Dude, what are you going to do?
I know, but you know that there are so many people in this world now that just don't own anything.
Yeah, you can't be sensitive.
It's always on somebody else. Or
if you grow up in sports, I think it kind of toughens you to what the outside. You got to go through all that though. To understand. Does he like me, or is this just something that's
right?
He thinks it's cool, or so you have to go through all that. Yeah, but what are you going to do? You make mistakes in life, and you try to get better, and if you can't laugh at yourself and at the same time own what you've done and do, then I don't know.
I wish more people. I know a bunch of people get to, but I wish more got to see what you do.
Yeah.
And when people ask, you go. And this is one that's always stuck out to me. It's 2 years ago at the SEC tournament.
Oh yeah.
You had made a commitment to speak to a group over in Louisville about addiction and recovery and everything. And so we do the pregame on Saturday. We do a show after the game on Saturday. You drive to Louisville to do the gig, and then come back for the championship game on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I told them I would do that. I didn't even think. I think at the time we may not. It may have not have been a decision made whether we were going to go down or not.
Till probably so. But still,
but I had told them that I would do it. And look, hey, Buzz, for quite a while, my phone didn't ring. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I was toxic. And hey, as time's gone by, keep trying to do the next right thing, and now my phone's ringing a little bit.
You're doing a great job.
No, but I'm just saying that's how stuff works.
I know.
And you just gotta, Rick Pitino told me so. He came and saw me in rehab, and Cal and Kenny and all those guys. They were great. They came but Rick said something, and Rick's had his share of stuff.
Sure.
And he said to me, looked at me, can I cuss on here or no?
Well, sure. We can.
Can I?
I think so.
Okay.
It depends on which one it is. Is it one of the 7 words?
Yeah.
Probably ought to abbreviate.
SH?
Yeah, okay, we got it now. Okay.
We can say that or no?
All right.
We
know what it is.
Are you ready?
Yes.
So he looked at me and he said, Rex, listen, you got to know you're going to eat a lot of for quite a while.
Wow.
And he said, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be awful. And you and your family and your kids. He said, you're going to eat a lot of it. He said, and it's going to feel like the size of a beach ball. And he said, and over time, that beach ball is going to turn into a basketball. And that basketball is going to turn into a volleyball and then into a softball and then and he went all the way down. He said, and then it's going to get down to a little rock and it's going to turn to dust. You hope.
Right.
If you can keep doing the next thing. And so, and that's stuff, and there have been several things that I could have picked any one of 100 things that Cal said over the years to me that.
Oh, sure.
That was just an example, and it's very true. It's very true. You can't keep messing up. You can't. You You get a couple chances if you're
Right.
lucky.
No, you're right.
If
You're right.
lucky.
You're right. You're just in a great place, and I'm
Yeah.
just so glad to see it and blessed to be with you.
Thanks, buddy.
The last thing I want to ask you before we
Yeah.
go.
We should probably talk about the tournament.
Well, I want this podcast to live beyond the tournament.
Oh, okay,
so
good.
you know, that would only give us a 24-hour window. But
I got you.
But I want to ask you about blocker charge. I mean, I have executives that ask me about blocking charge.
I know it's the dumbest thing. It really is. You know, talk about just dumb
Story
luck.
in USA Today.
Yeah, just stumbled into it. It's dumb.
Your mind's always going. You just didn't stumble
know.
into it.
Yeah, no. Well, to be honest, really and truly, and I've not said this to anybody, you know, I have a habit, or can get myself down into a rabbit hole on Twitter.
Oh dear God!
And
that may be the understatement of the world.
And so it was just becoming the whole climate and all of that. The social media, I wanted out. I really wanted
It's
out.
not worth it, is it?
No, but I wanted out. It was exhausting me every day, and it was divisive, and it was, you know, we were trying to, you know.
Guys like you and me, we don't agree on much politically, but we
No.
could sit there and,
Yeah.
and have a cold one
Yeah.
and have a conversation.
Right, exactly.
And
But-
a lot of people
yeah,
can't.
No, I know. But it was just so, and I thought one day I saw a video of a dolphin hit a guy on a surfboard. School of dolphins hit a guy on a surfboard square in the chest, dead in the chest, knocked him off his surfboard. And I looked at him immediately. I just went, "Oh, that's a charge." His feet were set, and I just tweeted that, and people thought it was funny. And I don't know, somewhere over the next few days, I just started doing that randomly, and it took off.
There you
and
go.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb.
It's the best. And you're the best. And I appreciate
buddy.
everything you're doing in this community. Thanks for the time, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.